I was just thinking about how the reasons why certain countries like Singapore have fared pretty well after independence, and many other African countries have failed to really take off since they received independence from their colonial masters. And in this case, I'm interested in mainly the English speaking countries, those that were formerly ruled by Great Britain. And there are many reasons for this, many reasons. But today, I want to focus on one factor. It is the factor of resources, and resources both human and natural. Take, for example, Singapore. The only resource it had was basically access to the sea, but it had a shortage in land, natural resources, and it had human capital. That's it, but the human capital it had was very limited because most of its population were unskilled and uneducated. So, at independence, Singapore was literally an ugly duckling. No one wanted to have anything to do with it. It had the face that only a mother could love. So, this poor ugly duckling fell into the care of its loving parents, Lee Kuan Yew and his team. And they cared for it, they nurtured it, they groomed it, and eventually, with much tender loving care, it transformed into a beautiful swan. So, that initial lack of prosperity, that initial lack of wealth for Singapore, in my opinion, turned out to be a blessing in disguise because it repelled all the social psychopaths who would have otherwise been interested in keeping control of it and extracting it of wealth. Unlike, say, countries like where I come from, Uganda, Kenya, and Zimbabwe. All these countries, relatively speaking, not necessarily in absolute terms, but relatively speaking, were quite prosperous, well organized, well structured societies. They were like, how can I compare it to? Maybe I could compare it to a young girl with precocious beauty, who's with precocious puberty, who has the curves all in the right places. Her looks attract the wrong kind of people, with the wrong kind of motives. And this, unless she has a protective ring of fire around her, consisting of loving, strong caregivers, her life will quickly descend into chaos and instability. So, in that case, for this girl, her beauty becomes a curse, just like Uganda's beauty has been more of a curse than a blessing for Uganda. Because all the sociopaths like Obote, his mentors like Idi Amin and Museveni, were drawn to this beautiful young maiden who had no protection. So, in conclusion, I'm not saying it's once you have resources and beauty and wealth, you're doomed to failure. I'm just saying, if you have those advantages, one has to work extra hard to make sure that they do not become a curse, but they become a blessing. Yeah, I think I'll stop there for now.